What's something that you once believed to be essential in your life, but after going without, decided it really wasn't? A swimming pool. My God, what a mistake. I used to just lay awake at night and listen to my electric meter run. Kids, take it from me. Join a pool. Don't own one. Much like a boat. You don't want a pool. You want a friend with a pool. Video games. I used to social distance myself to just play video games all day, not caring about everything else in my life. At some point I got my shit together and it all worked out. I still play games occasionally, but years after they are released so I can pick them up cheaper. Cable news. In retrospect, exhausting. Bullying siblings. For years I thought I had to keep accommodating them, tying myself into knots to try to get their approval or even just acceptance. Because they came out of the same uterus as me. It turns out that going no contact at all, calmly and without malice, was easy and oh so peaceful. At first I thought you meant that you'd given up bullying your siblings. Sugar in coffee or tea. I freely chose to give it up, and I don't miss it. Bottled water. I live in an area with safe tap water. It doesn't taste great, but gets the job done. When coronavirus hit and there was a crazy rush on bottled water, I couldn't get my hands on any. Turns out, I don't care about bottled water. I'm drinking tap water like a champ now, and it's practically free. Heroin. Cost me 8 inches of my intestines. A girlfriend. Roughly $80,000. A vehicle. My home and all but one friend. I started opiates after Hurricane Matthew came through my state and destroyed my home. My grandmother gave me an oxycodone for a migraine, which I had never heard of at the time. Every single ounce of pain and depression washed away. I was convinced it was absolutely essential in my life from that point on. How wrong I was. Nicotine. I started at 16 and I smoked till I was about almost 20. Haven't smoked in already almost 2 years and I don't miss it at all. I believed it was essential to be accompanied by people so that I wouldn't feel lonely. However, I have realized that there's a massive difference between being alone and feeling lonely. Sometimes I don't feel lonely despite being alone, and other times I end up feeling lonely even though I have company. I might get downvoted, but weed. I wasn't physically addicted, but I smoked every 2 to 3 hours every day for 17 years. It had become a warm coat in a cold world. Having a daughter, I realized I was much like my dad and drinking. I was an irritable asshole when I wasn't smoking, would pick fights over stupid stuff, and spend most of my time too tired to do much beyond what was required of me. I was also constantly broke and borrowing money. It's so nice to be clear-headed with energy. I spend more time with my family and I even sleep better. This is by no means directed at other people. I still love weed, the culture, and my fellow heads. Everyone needs to do what is right for their own lives. Labels. I spent about 25 years thinking that I needed to clearly define myself by labels in order to fit in or gain respect. Ultimately I found that none of the many labels on places like Tumblr applied to me with the precision I wanted. This struggle with my identity bothered me badly for a very long time. I finally realized that even if I did manage to encapsulate the whole of my being into one line of text, what I do with that information, the only result I can see now would be that I just limit my behavior and preferences to continue adhering to those labels, and I'd be afraid to allow change into my life. And also, no one cares. My value to a person or group is based on my skills in the context of the group, not on some overcomplicated identity resume. I'll still call myself by certain approximate labels when necessary to add context to a comment, but I don't make them a priority in my life anymore. It's actually quite enjoyable to just be a nebulous entity. I don't have to behave based on some set of rules that I picked out. Sugary foods. When I eat them it becomes like a roller coaster. When I don't eat them I don't even think about them. The approval of others. Coloring my gray hair. Waste of money and time. I no longer care if it makes me look old. Women spend a lot of money to get the beautiful platinum color I have naturally. Tobacco. Every day I would tell myself, this is bad for you, but you can quit any time. It seemed like I was in control when I really wasn't. I saw it as essential without seeing it as essential, if you know what I mean. I believe that is what makes cigarettes so addictive. They make you lie to yourself. Once I stopped, I truly felt like I could live the rest of my life without tobacco. Smoking. I started too young and smoked for about 15 years. Now I haven't smoked one in 18 months and I can't even understand why I needed it so much. Mormonism. Suboxone, the opioid maintenance medication. It's helpful for many, and I believe it helped me to a certain extent. However, every time I would try to get off of it, I would land right back where I started. After the last time, once I had picked up using again, I decided to just cold turkey instead of getting back on the medication. Once the withdrawals and mental fog cleared, I rediscovered actual joy. Coffee. Thanks to a series of events, I was unable to have my morning cup of joe and had to go without it this month. Thanks Corona. Thanks to quitting, my acne has cleared up and I feel a little bit better without the high highs and the low lows. Also, the never-ending chase of the caffeine dragon is a plus. I wanted to share an observation related to this. That may not be relevant to your situation at all, but your comment reminded me of it. I worked as a barista for 3+ years. I had the same customers every day for a long time, so I knew their coffee habits. People would start normal consumption, then slowly ramp it up to where they were coming to me for multiple drinks with 4 shots of espresso each per day. It wasn't my job to tell them it was too much, but it was too freaking much. Then, they'd sometimes come back and say they stopped drinking coffee. It was giving them health problems. What a terrible beverage. What they didn't realize was that coffee, for most people, is fine. They just were having an astronomical amount, and then thought the substance was bad because they were drinking huge amounts of coffee and had negative health effects. Coffee is fine for most people. Just don't get to the point where you overdo it. I've been there myself. And working as a barista, it was really easy to start having too much. But being careful and realizing that 1 to 2 shots a day is reasonable and not having more than that has made coffee have pretty much no negative health effects, at least in my case. A relationship. I used to hold on to every single workbook from my primary and secondary school. Bits of cardboard and fabric I could use for stuff and other stuff like that. After moving out of a house for a year then returning, I realized I'm never actually going to do stuff with them. Living without them for a year helped me see I don't need to hold on to this stuff, which I think saved me from a potential hoarding problem. A rigorous skincare routine, but only because no matter what I try, my skin seems to stay the same, which I'm fine with. My wife. Minecraft. I had a severe addiction a few years back. This one really close friend in college. Long story short, they betrayed me, and in a time in my life when I really needed friends I had none, and while I spent all that time sad and pining, I realized later that I made it through. Without someone I couldn't go a day without speaking to. Fizzy drinks. Abusive mother. As soon as I cut her out, life just became better and easier. Approval, confirmation of others. Took me way too long to realize that I do not need confirmation of others as a proof that something is wrong, and the other way round, if they deny it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. My life is 1000% times better without it. I don't wake up groggy and depressed anymore, and it is truly life-changing. Cable TV, satellite TV. Dessert. I cut back massively on sweets 18 months ago and I've lost 60 to 65 pounds. I didn't really miss sweets after a while. Soda. I still drink it, but I drink a lot more water now. Toilet paper. This is the way. Nicotine. Haven't smoked since quarantine started. Alcohol. 16 months sober. Might get downvoted, as it isn't actually an essential at all, but I was addicted and honestly believed I needed it to live. Meth. Been clean for 3.5 years now. Feels good, man. Dating. I can't do it. I tried it. I just get tired of having to always consider the needs of another person when I want to do something. I couldn't imagine moving in with somebody for the rest of my life. Going out all the time. Caffeine. Gave it up to help with my anxiety and I feel loads better without it. That abusive girlfriend I had in high school. New clothes. I used to do the seasonal shop, 1 to 10 new items for every season, all necessities, so 4 times a year. I had over 3 closets worth of clothes, including things I'd had in high school 10 years ago. A year ago I decided that not buying new clothes would be a good way to reduce my spending, so I started only buying clothes that truly filled a gap or replaced something I had actually worn out. Which means that in a year I have only bought 1 work dress, 1 pair of leggings, 1 basics shirt, and 1 special event outfit. I started gutting my huge collection of clothing, and getting rid of all the items I didn't absolutely love wearing or need for work. It has been freeing and I would never go back to the seasonal shop life. Relationships. They're fun, and can be great for character building, but they aren't needed to better yourself like some would me think. Makeup. Television. I still watch stuff, but it's all streaming or pirated content. I haven't watched normal TV for years and I don't miss it. It's just all reality show shit. Probably sounds vain, but things like eyelash extensions or getting my nails done, really thought I needed those things to feel pretty. Validation from others. Eating out. It's nice every once in a while, but after cooking at home during this pandemic, I have been feeling better in general and the food is always how I like it. Instagram. Not seeing people desperately trying to get likes and influence has done wonders my mental health. Disposable paper towels. During university I was too cheap and broke to pay for them, so I went without. Once I got used to using washable cloths to clean up, I didn't even really feel the need for paper towels. Now that I'm out of school I can afford to buy paper towels. I keep some around. I realize how wasteful they are and I try to use them sparingly. I only use paper towels for cleaning up disgusting things, like cat vomit. Killer bee protective suit. Makeup. Spent a month in Panama where I'm too hot and sweaty all the time to wear any, and it's just made me realize that I'm actually happy with my face as it is. Facebook. Toxic friends. A bra. Bottled water. I am and have always been an avid water drinker. I spent nearly 20 years of my life only drinking bottled water. Now I feel so horrible because of the pollution. I now have a Brita filter water bottle and will drink from the tap a good bit except for well water. Yuck. Cigarettes. Haircuts. I've been cutting my own hair now for the past 5 or 6 years. Big barber industry is going to try to censor this. For my working from home life, I've gone without using my mouse for my laptop as I sit on the couch and I've gotten pretty used to it now. Speaking of which, although I knew this before, working from office is usually totally unnecessary and so are all meetings in person. I work much better from home, with alcohol, and at my own time.